What's up, YouTube? Another project on the E350 today. So on this particular car, I have on these plastic rails, I don't know if they're plastic actually, but the clear coat is failing. And also this is pretty oxidized or deteriorated, as well as this. The roof is in good shape because it's glass, so that's lucky for me. So what I'm planning on doing today is prepping all of this, taping everything off, on both sides obviously, and trying to paint it and see what it turns out like. I already started roughing it up here, but I'll go more into the process with you with what I'm going to do. But you can see here, I mean, it just looks terrible. So I'm going to try to spruce it up. Let's see what happens. All right, here's what I'm doing. Basically masking off the pieces I'm going to paint. But one thing I found that works really well is if you want to get that line above the seal, kind of push it onto the plastic, and then, so instead of taping the line right away, push it a little bit into where you're going to paint, and then if you squish it down, you get a really good line. So I'm going to do it that way and catch you up when I'm back here. So one area that's a little weird, I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle it yet, is, so I want to paint this and this, but this is a rubber seal. And I'm just wondering, I think that might be really hard to tape off, but I'm gonna try. I don't want to paint that. I think that'll just look half-assed. So far I just did this one strip. This is sort of my test side, and then I'll just bang out the other side. But I'm also gonna tape this, and then eventually I'll put plastic over the car and just cut out the areas I'm gonna paint. So you'll see that as I go here. All right, one way I found works really well is I keep the tape on the roll and I'm putting tension on it, and then I'm just moving it very subtle. I'm looking down the line here and I'm moving it and just putting it exactly where it needs to go, lifting and repositioning as needed. Then, if I need to, I take like a plastic pry tool and I can push it into the seal or anything like that. I think this is working pretty well. So I did the top rails across the windshield. I'm going to do this as well. So next I'm going to pull the car out and start sanding so I can blow it off out there and minimize the mess in the garage. But the only thing I'm unsure about are these, like this is a rubber seal and this is a rubber seal. I don't know. I'm just going to spray it, I think, and it's got to look better than how it looks now. So, all right. So now what I'm doing is I'm basically taking a fine Roll-Lock disc surface conditioner pad. It's about 320 grit for this brand. It's not 3M. 3M ones would be red. But anyway, I'm sanding these down, mostly removing the failed clear coat, but along with it, some of the paint comes off. And I'm happy to say this is metal underneath. And if you see right here, you'll see all the paint is gone. One thing that was a total trip is as I was blowing off, the paint was just flaking right off. So I'm taking advantage of that and just getting under all the paint and taking it all off, and then I'll re-sand and re-mask. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise, I guess. But here's what this looks like. Normally I'd wear a respirator, but I want you to hear me, so I'll do the rest off camera. But just going through and getting rid of any of that failed clear coat and just giving it a good sand. Like a lot of projects, this one ended up turning into something bigger with the paint coming off, and I was just gonna rough this up and then paint over it, but I started seeing metal and paint coming off again, so I'm trying to just do the best prep job I can. Eventually I'll pull it back inside where it's cooler and do a wipe down, tape again, double check I didn't burn through any of this tape, sanding, and probably will hit the paint tomorrow. That way I can just do everything the right way and not rush. All right, here's that that failed paint I was talking about. Let's see if I can get more up and show you. See how it's just flaking off so easily? It's awesome. And then you'll get big old pieces. So I'm just gonna get it all off at this point. Makes the most sense. Here's the side I just finished. driver's side. So this has been sanded with 320, so it's real smooth. There's no clear coat coming off. And unlike the other side, this side did not flake off at all, so I'm not going to force it. I don't know why the other side was so bad, but... All right, here's where I'm at. Put over a plastic car cover. You can get a pack of these online. They're pretty cheap. I'll link to it. So cover the car. I taped the bottoms to the car so it doesn't blow around. I didn't record putting it on because it's hard with one person, everything moving around and stuff. And then basically all I did is I cut out the plastic and then taped. So the way I do it is, you can see I haven't taped this yet, so I kind of hold it with my hand, slice it beyond where I'm going onto the tape so I don't scratch the car. And then after it's cut, I'll put a piece of tape right here. So it'll look kind of like how this is. So see how this is taped down. So you're basically just leaving all that you're gonna paint. It's gonna make it really nice to not have to worry about hitting paint anywhere else. It's just taking the extra time like this makes a big difference. So I'll show you what I mean here. By the way, this razor blade is so awesome. I'll link to it. Really, really good. You snap them off when you're done, but it's real precise. I got this for wrapping cars. Not that I wrap cars, but I wanted to try, and this is what someone suggested. So what I'm gonna do here is hold the plastic. I'm cutting sort of in the middle of my masking tape, again, to avoid scratching the car. And then other side. I tape as I go so things don't start flopping around. I know you probably can't see all of this. All right, after going back and forth last night while I was sleeping on all this, I decided to just remove the molding. Originally, I was like, okay, I'm painting this so I don't have to replace these, and I didn't want to break them, and I wasn't sure how the clips were, so I watched a couple of videos, and luckily they're metal clips, so I felt pretty good about it. So I'll show you how I did that. So I started in the back here, just pried up. I got the first one. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm sort of bending up until I realize I'm at another clip. And then I like this trim tool because it gives you that rubber pad for leverage. So I'm just doing it like that. See, these are those metal clips, so those aren't gonna break, or shouldn't. If anything, this will break, but it shouldn't as well. All right, next I'm gonna apply some of this prep from Duplicolor. It's basically just a cleaner. You just basically spray it on, it foams up, and then you wipe it off while it's still wet. So I'll show you that right now. I already did the other side, so that's what it looks like. It smells like orange. And we'll wipe it off. The SEM trim paint I bought doesn't require primer. It's specially formulated to adhere to bare metal, but I am gonna shoot the whole car with primer because I have parts that are just painted like this, so I don't wanna change the process for different parts. There's a few places I want to touch up. Like right here, I need to mask that rubber. All right, time to spray some primer. All right, I just did a very light coat Gonna wait about 10 minutes, do another one, and likely a third coat as well, just to get uniform coverage. All right, black's going on. Gonna start with light coats. All right, I ended up doing 4 coats. The last coat I just did like a minute ago, and it was a little heavier. Every coat, it looks to be a little blotchy. Not blotchy, but like kind of textured. I didn't sand the primer underneath, but as it dries, it gets that sheen, that satin sheen that you're looking for. So I'm gonna let this be the last coat and really hope that it dries to what I'm expecting. Otherwise, I'm gonna do some troubleshooting, but I can't do any more of this. I'm out of paint anyway, so. But it's even. I think it will dry nicely, we'll see. It was starting to dry nicely the last coat, but I wanted to put one more on. You can kind of see here at the end that it's pretty decent for trim. I think that'll look good when it's dry. We'll see. All right, back on the Mercedes roof molding project here. I ended up taking them off the car because it was not hard, as you saw in the last clip, but also it allowed me to really tape off the rubber seals better. So these were sanded with 320 grit, blew off with air, paint prep, and then lastly a little bit of alcohol. Now we're gonna shoot some primer. All right, I'm gonna do 3 light coats of this primer, and then I'll be sanding it down to do the top coat. Okay, here's where we're at. Sorry I didn't show everything, but I wanted to make sure it went on right. Holding the camera is kind of tough, but I put 3 coats of primer on, and then I let it dry for an hour, and then dry sanded it with 800 grit sanding sponge. That was per the instructions on the can. I think that's a little bit of a high grit, but I think it worked out really well. It looks pretty smooth. And then I wiped it with a prep, and then a final wipe with alcohol. And now I'm about to spray some black coats. I'm gonna do a couple light coats of this, and then a medium to heavy coat at the end. Let it dry and start to clear. Okay, I laid down 3 coats of the Duplicolor single stage black. It's supposed to be gloss black, but you know, it kind of looks almost like satin. It's you know, it's single stage paint, right? You can definitely see where I gouged the metal when I was prepping. Like here's a good, let me find a good example. I don't know, oh, here's one down here. Let's see, like right there. I gouged it with the die grinder, but I couldn't tell when I was doing it. But you can definitely see everything under the black. But it went on pretty smooth. I'm pretty happy with it. Thankfully, I'm putting a clear coat on, so hopefully that will just make it even better. And then once it dries in a couple days, I may finish sand and cut and buff, but we'll see. I can do that on the car if I want to. All right, this is the 2K clear I'm using. I would prefer the Eastwood one, but I couldn't find any nearby, and stupid California, it seemed like it wouldn't ship it to my address. But the concept is the same. You take this red cap out and you put it on the bottom and you puncture it, which combines a bladder of the 2 solutions, and then you have to shake it, and you know, it's only good for I think a couple days or something, but pretty much one-time use. All right, let's see here. So again, you take out the cap, put it on the bottom, and basically just puncture it. You don't know if I... Yeah, I had to have done it. I didn't hear anything though. All right. Now we'll just shake this up for a while. All right, I gotta say I'm pretty impressed with this Y2K clear. I mean, just already it's looking a ton better than the single stage paint did. All right guys, I'm gonna wrap up this trim debacle on the Mercedes and kind of show you where I ended up. Pretty happy with it, but I definitely learned a lot on this one, so let me show you kind of what's going on. Shooting black out of a rattle can, especially gloss, is really hard. I mean, compared to the glass roof, you can see it turned out really nice. I didn't cut or buff it or anything. The only part that was challenging, like I said in the videos, was there's this seal that I had to tape off, so it didn't make for the best finish on the edges. What you're seeing is like primer that got in the seal and just maybe glue marks from the tape. So I almost thought about just ripping that seal off, but I mean, this is a patch, this is a fix, right? Instead of replacing these are like 400 bucks. So I think the paint looks really good, but what I'm mostly happy about was not so much like the car, but the learnings I got from this. That 2K two-part clear really made a difference. I mean, again, this is not cut or buffed or anything, and it's like there's no orange peel or anything, and it feels really good. Probably doesn't come out on camera as much, but in real life, it's real nice. Again, other than the edging, which I didn't really have a choice. There's also a seal on this side you can see that's also very old, and I had to mask that off. So if it was just a regular shoot metal situation, it would have been really good. I did chip in here a little bit when I was trying to lift the door up to test it. It's fine though. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked with that. And the learnings here are I'm going to continue to use that two-part clear. I'll put a picture on the screen of what it looked like before I put the clear, and it was supposed to be gloss, but if I would have left it, it would have looked more like this satin piece here. And this is that other piece that I was going to redo. This is aluminum, and this was from the factory. It was more of a satin finish than this. So I tried to replicate that, but I didn't sand the primer, so it ends up having like a texture to it. The paint looks good. I mean, it came on really smoothly, and I like the different look. I just don't like the texture in the sun. It kind of looks, I don't know if it'll pick it up right now, but it's the same thing on here. When the sun hits it, it's kind of spotty, as opposed to like a pure satin. But the gloss, again, I really I'm happy with that, especially out of a rattle can. So at some point I might take these pieces off again, re-tape, these metal panels and do it in a sanded satin finish. But for now, I'm just happy to have it all back together. It looks pretty good. All right, well, thanks for coming along on this one, and hopefully the next project to do on the Mercedes will be as interesting, and I got a few things planned still for it, so stay tuned for the next one.